How's it going today, my friends? I am out here looking at some of my citrus, and I just wanted to do a video just illustrating the various kumquat varieties that I have growing in the yard. They are all pretty abundant producers of fruit, and they are a very cold hardy type of citrus tree, and they're all very different. So I just wanted to show the few varieties that I've got here in the yard. This particular one is the Miwa kumquat. It has a larger fruit, and this is one of the more sweeter varieties of kumquat. This particular tree is probably reaching about 3.5 feet tall. It's a pretty small one, but for as small as it is, it really does have a good fruit set. And so this is one that I really enjoy to eat, and it's in a great location right next to my chicken run, and so it does very well as far as the fertilizer is concerned. So I'll bring you over to the next one. This is probably my favorite kumquat just because of the uniqueness with it. It has a variegated leaf, and also the unripe fruit are a variegated yellow with green stripes. I did a video on it a while back, but this is a smaller bush, and they do get a little smaller than the other varieties. This is a slower growing bush, but even for its size, it's probably 2.5, 3 feet tall. It's a little bit more horizontal than it is tall, which is fine. I'm happy with that growth pattern. But it has quite a few fruit on it, and these are a larger kumquat as well, and they are actually a sweet kumquat. So I would compare it right there with the Miwa as far as the sweetness and size. But this is the Centennial, by the way. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that, but this is a really neat one, and like I said, it's probably my favorite. I'll take you over to the next one. This one is the Fukushu kumquat. This one has kind of struggled here. I'm not really sure if it's not as cold hardy as the other varieties, but there was considerable dieback last winter. This is year 2 for this kumquat. Luckily, the first year I had it in the ground, I was able to propagate it from cutting. So I do have a viable new growth cutting out in the greenhouse. So if anything happens with this one, if it just doesn't make it, some plants, when you plant them, they're just they're not hardy. There's something wrong, and it's, you know, some plants are like that. You'll just buy them and you'll put them in the ground and they'll just struggle, and it's not necessarily the environment, it's just the plant. Some of them are just not as strong or hardy or vigorous for whatever reason, but I don't know if that's the case with this one. But so far so good. We've had some pretty cold nights, and he's managed to survive and overcome some of the sub 32 degree nights. So they should all be able to go down to zone 8, I believe. So this one may be a little bit, some of them are just a little bit more cold tolerant than others. So I'm not quite sure on this specific variety, but I have not yet tasted the fruit. It has not yet fruited for me, so I'm waiting for it. But right next door, last but not least, I have the Nagami. This was the very first kumquat that I put into this yard, and it is reaching about 7 feet tall at this point in time. So it is a very mature tree. It is going on year 7 in the ground, and the beautiful thing with kumquat is that they are heavy producers, and so every year this tree just produces more kumquat than I can even eat. And so I think there's probably still a good handful of fruit on this tree from last year, believe it or not. I just can't eat them all, and you know, birds really don't eat citrus, so you know, and the thing with citrus is they will just hang on the tree. They typically don't fall unless there's something wrong with them. If they do get some kind of an infestation, they'll fall to the ground, but outside of that, they just hang on for you know, as long as they can. But kumquat's just a really neat fruit. You eat the whole fruit, rind and all, and the rind is sweet and the interior is tart, and so it gives a really sweet and sour taste in your mouth, which is very enjoyable. And they're just jam-packed full of vitamin C, and not that many people know of kumquats, believe it or not, so they're not widely available. I have seen them in the stores periodically, but it's not as common as other citrus are. So, you know, it's just a really neat tree to own if you are able to grow citrus if you live in zone 8 or above. I believe that you could grow citrus, or if you know microclimates and if you have a place right next to your house, I've seen people grow citrus, even standard navel oranges, which are zone 9, you know, in some colder locations like zone 7. So you could really push zones if you're able to identify a nice warm spot nearby your house or nearby a block wall or something of that nature, and you could overwinter these guys with very little protection, and you would be happy that you did. So I hope this video finds you well. I surely appreciate you stopping by and taking a look at all these various citrus varieties that I'm growing here. This is citrus season, so this is really the only splash of color I've got in my landscape, so that's why I'm showing citrus. So I hope you have a great day today. God bless you. Bye-bye.